صلاح إدريس، مصرفي دراسة وتطبيقا لمدة طويلة. عملت في أو بدايات عملي والالتحاق بالمجال المصرفي في بنك الخرطوم لسنة تقريبا أو سنتين. بعدها انتقلت على بنك فيصل الإسلامي ثم سيتي بانك في الخرطوم. وبعدها كان في الموجة حقت استقطاب السودانيين للعمل في المجال المصرفي في المملكة العربية السعودية،
ممكن
فانتقلت
تشير يا السيد صلاح لو داير.
طيب ممتاز. فانتقلت إلى المملكة العربية السعودية للعمل في بنك افيليت لبنك عمرو بانك اللي هو اسمه البنك السعودي الهولندي كان. ومنها خضرنا فيها جماعة البنك الأهلي التجاري خيرا، فاستقطبوني إلى البنك الأهلي التجاري وعملت فيه برضه لفترة طويلة وكانت فترة ثرة جدا وغنية بالإنجاز والتعلم في نفس الوقت. يعني الواحد لا ينكر إنه كان بيعطي ويأخذ، لأنه أي يوم يجي على الإنسان من غير ما يكتسب معرفة جديدة ويكون خسارة. فبعدها كمان ظلنا فيها تاني مرة بنك السعودي للأستثمار خيرا في مجالات التقنية المصرفية والمصرفية عموما، لكن في مجال متخصص جدا هو التقنية المصرفية للمجالين الريتيل والكوربريت بانكينج والاستثمار والأشياء دي. فده هو كان خاتمة المطاف يعني. فالآن يعني أنا أتشرف جدا جدا، وطبعا ما كل ما يقول أخونا الدكتور علام عني فيمكن يكون كله صحيح، فأنا أقل من كده كثير، وهذه عين رضاه التي يراني بها كذلك يعني. الآن أبدأ أشارككم في المحاضرة حقتي. أولا بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. نبدأ. حنغطي بعض
لو سمحت يا دكتور دوس على شو سكرين خليها تبقى كبيرة.
أوكي. لا
لو سمحت.
لا.
شكرا لك. تفضل.
فهنغطي بقى في انترودكشن بديها، وبعدها البريزنت سيتويشن، بانكينج اندستري ايكو سيستم، ديجيتال بانكينج ترانسفورميشن وتطبيقاته في البنوك وريكومنديشنز، ونختم بذلك. انا حكون بقدر الامكان يا جماعه سامحوني في الحكايه دي سريع شوي عشان تو هيلب السيتويشن حق انه ضاع علينا بعض الزمن، فحتى تو برينج باك الجدول الى ما المفروض يعني كان، فحكون سريع شويه. فاي شيء تبي مست يعني ممكن نلحقه في الاسئله يعني. اول شيء البريزنت سيتويشن، خلينا نقول وين في الجانب هذا. طبعا السودان دابه طالع من ثوره كبيره جدا جدا غيرت التاريخ يعني ان شاء الله الى الابد. والثوره في حد ذاتها وما حصل معها من ملابسات ومن وضع خلقته بعد الثوره مباشره كان في وضع يعني سوري. انا should I speak in English ولا it's alright؟
حسب ما تحتاج يا دكتور، حسب ما تحب يا دكتور.
والله انا الاودينس حقنا تقريبا كله عرب ولا انا كان
والله ما الاودينس برا، انت شوف وات ايفر كومفورت
okay.
ونتكلم يا دكتور.
I'm comfortable with this. So Sudan coming out of this huge and revolution has brought with it a lot of chaotic things now in the theater or in the ecosystem of the banking and economic in Sudan. This soon after this, or very shortly after the revolution, came the COVID-19, and which added to this chaos and added to this problems in every front in the life of the Sudanese people, as well as in the life of everybody else outside Sudan. But the COVID particularly has proven that a lot of things are changed, but forever, and not for a transitional period. The COVID has proven a lot of changes in the lifestyle, but when it comes to the banking industry and it has proven that things can be done very differently than the way they used to be done, and forever. So this is what drove mainly this lecture, let us say, or discussion paper, because Sudan is not an exception of this, but it might shift Sudan, and for the good luck of the industry, will maybe shifted from the very conventional way of doing banking through the branch networks and through the manly services delivered through the windows of through the branches, to a totally remote and digital way, and that's how what we are going to cover here in the following session. So the banking and finance industry in Sudan has been crippled actually in the past 2 decades because of the mainly because of the American financial sanctions imposed on Sudan, which has almost stopped any all of the means for Sudan to have a sustainable and continuous flow of foreign currency, particularly after the cessation or the separation of South Sudan, where 3/4 of the wealth or the production of the oil went to the south, with 1/4 of the number of people or the population, and in the north remained the 3/4 of the population, with 1/4 of the oil production and the earnings of that, which made immediately has made a very imbalanced situation, whereby the northern part of Sudan started to suffer a lot in the deficit locally, domestically, and in the foreign currency. And who suffered from this a lot is the individuals of the Sudanese people, and the central bank is the indicator of all of this, whereby now the central bank has no foreign currency reserves at all. And that's why we can see this hyperinflation, and the foreign exchange prices are rocketing up every day. This is one of the things that I need. I want you to look at it very carefully, which is see the number of the Sudanese, the population in Sudan, and it's about 40 million now, and the current rate of growth is 2.42 annually, and it is forecast to grow to remain or to continue to grow by 2%. So by the year in 2030, we will reach about 55 million with this rate of growth. And also, if we see again this figures about the drop in the GDP due to the factors I said before. And again, to look at the demographics and the number of that 40 million now, it's very interesting to see that it's exactly 50% are males, 50% are female, and if you see the age factors or the age distribution, they are very young. About 60% of the Sudanese are below the 20 years of age. That all of this I want you just to have in mind to come to the conclusion of what I'm drawing up to reach in this whole presentation. The banking industry ecosystem, which is the core of our speech here, it is an industry actually taking care of a very important part of the economy, where it is devoted to hold the financial assets of the people, and to invest that on their behalf or for itself to keep the development of the country going on, and also to keep the whether the development is through the private sector or the government sector. The ecosystem is composed of the Central Bank of Sudan as a regulator, the Capital Market Authority as a regulator, commercial banks, there are about 35, three specialized banks, Ministry of Interior, Ministry of Commerce, and Ministry of Justice. And maybe I didn't include any other body, but these are the main parties. Of course, the public as the user of the industry, but these are main players in the industry. So recently, a study conducted by the Cornerstone Advisor, they tried to ask the executives in the industry itself to define what is the digital transformation, and the 80% of the answers came to that it is the integration of digital technologies into all areas, fundamentally changing how they operate, how to operate and deliver value. And it causes the culture change that continually changing the status quo and get comfortable with the failure. This is better explained or a little further explained by others that in summary, it says that it's a radical acceleration of digital transformation in the retail banking. About 25% of the consumers wanted to do it remotely. And according to the Financial Times also, of brand, the new norm. Sorry, there is noise, more noise. The norm of banking is quickly moving to the branch-heavy product-centric, from branch-heavy product-centric to the digital execution, and Reuters Times Insights wrote that led by employees working remotely and customer increasingly doing their banking online, the COVID has accelerated all of the above. So COVID has accelerated all of the above in doing what? In using the digital transformation to accomplish the following. As you can see, only 10% is used for the applications to improve the efficiency across the institutions, and 79%, which is the core use of the digital transformation, is to integrate the digital technologies into areas where we're fundamentally changing how the institution operates and deliver value. And within this here, what is meant today which is the core of our discussion now, is the banking industry. Only 8% also is coupling their digital transformation to use it on a real time in transferring or using the data within the modern technology across the other type of businesses to enhance the management of the institutions and the digital the decision making based on real facts and timely information. So here is an example of using the digital transformation in banking industry to fulfill the services delivered to the individuals, which is the retail banking. Some people call it retail banking. or consumer banking or individual banking. Why they have a special slide for that, or a special, let us say, way of delivering it? It is because they require specific and different type of services, which is the delivery of it is easier than the services delivered to the corporates or to the SMEs, because of the legal factors connected with the sophistication of the authority over the accounts and the account mandates. Again, the same digital transformation can be used for serving the small and medium enterprises. Again, here the slide, I don't want to go to the details of it because this is too complicated and too long to explain all of them, but I just wanted to show you that each audience, individual, retail, or corporate, or small and medium business innovations, can be served separately and through specialized portals and so specialized delivery channels to serve their banking needs. Again, here, this is for the mega and big corporates, where they have, they demand special type of services. The big mega companies, they can be served through something called the portal or online banking, or through the B2B, which is the business to business setups. That's also for the big companies. Same thing here. This just explains how the mega companies like Dal or Pepsi Cola or Jihad or Zadna, the big institutions in Sudan, they can be connected in this way, not in the other ways suitable for the small and medium-sized companies. So here we start. Just go direct to the what should be done. All of the previous slides and just what I said was to give you the mindset of after the COVID, after the news of that the sanctions will be lifted, and particularly that Sudan will be joining soon or shortly the WTO. All of this has created a situation whereby how people can face those challenges and those situations whereby this in itself could be an additional burden on the banking industry and economy of Sudan, but also can be turned into opportunities. So the COVID has caused banks and forced them to do banking remotely. And this is very clear in other countries, maybe rather than Sudan, or Sudan has done it, but not to the extent like other countries. If I can just mention an example, like in Saudi Arabia here, it started that you find a problem in dealing in cash. You pay cash. People ask you, no, we want you to pay through the point of sale, or through your mobile, or through you transfer money to somebody else. So this is not there. This is one of the challenges of the banks of Sudan. But if they want to do that, then the following are some recommendations or some strategies that should be followed to accomplish that end aim, which is to shift the Sudan from a cash-intensive dealing society to the cashless dealings. Not only this, but also to bring back to the banking system the huge amounts, the huge liquidity circulating or outside the banking system, which will add to, which will have a lot of or a number of benefits to the central bank, to the public, to the economy of Sudan itself, whereby banks can have a wider blanket for and portfolio for an ability to finance the the businesses in Sudan, whether it is in agriculture or in the livestock or in mining. Yeah, so the following will be the recommendation, and I don't know whether I should go through them one by one, but that's the core of the thing. So just bear with me, gentlemen. The central bank should adopt and encourage the acceleration of the application of the digital banking by the banks operating in Sudan, and how by this can be achieved by incentivizing them, or mainly by issuing first the regulations that will guide the banks and guidelines that will help the banks what to do to achieve this, regarding the individual banking, regarding the corporate banking, regarding the investment banking, regarding anything has to do with lending and with deposit taking or payments. This is all falls in Bank of Sudan's responsibility to do this, but also pushing banks and the society to use the alternative means and digital means of payment, to remain away from using cash, which is one of the one of the ways that COVID transmits, and it's one of the dangers and hazards. So also the Central Bank of Sudan must prepare the banks to release the central bank prepares and distributes and make sure that the banks do train the people, the people, particularly in the activities that the banks in Sudan were not really involved in a lot, which is in the particularly in the international trade, whereby not a lot of foreign trade was happening. And I remember in the past, the bankers, in all of the banks, used to have this knowledge of of all of the types of services to the customers, including and mainly the financing, as well as the foreign trade and foreign exchange, whereby this is has not been actually practiced to the extent that people can say we know it very well. So this is an area people must, the banks must prepare their people and acquire enough knowledge, led by the Bank of Sudan, because after the lifting of the sanctions, a lot of foreign trade will be required, and people will be ready with that type of knowledge to export and to import the goods through the banking system. Because now what is happening is almost just shipping without using the actual legitimate and scientific channels for doing that because of the sanctions. So the Bank of Sudan again need to do to hold very tight the banks or the banking industry, but also a balanced grip. How that happens? So the grip should not be like to suffocate the banks. Leave some innovation, leave some new practices to happen. And for instance, like in Saudi Arabia here, what happened also, and we were part of this. So the kingdom has introduced the system of the sandboxing, which is any bank or any financial technology company that is trying a new innovation or innovative way of delivering services, and let them come and do it, but under the eye of the central bank, whereby they can be guided, they can be controlled, they can within a contented environment, and certain rules where people can excel, and then when that is successful, then it can be launched finally to be used in a wider scope and in the actual life of the public, and then it becomes a normal business or a normal conduct. Number 4, the central bank again must ensure the commitment of the banks to implement the anti-money laundering and the terror financing, because we don't want one day to be also the Sudan to be caught again for this type of mishaps or problems where these were part of the sanctions reasons imposed on Sudan in the past. So we have to be complying with the international regulations in this regard. So intensify the central bank again should intensify the state approach to digital transformation, and the Ministry of Finance is involved in that, whereby all of the government sectors should be moving to that direction, whether it is in the communication between the different sectors or in the dealing in financial dealings or the information transfer. All of this should move that direction. Otherwise, we still the community will remain lagging behind in this respect. And not only this, but because of the public itself needs to conduct their whatever they require from the government or they do to the government should also move to that direction. It is cost effective, it is cleaner, and it doesn't require the movement of the people flooding the roads up and down, going here and there. And also some kind of workflow should be conducted within those institutions or government sectors to streamline the process of the government services and delivery to the public. Number 6, changing the currency is one of the things that is strongly advised and advocated, because what we see now, and particularly very recently, that there are very strong indications or even evidences that a lot of money is coming from outside the country, fraudulently printed, and dollars are being bought by that money, or real estate or lands or houses or whatever. So that's very dangerous from a number of fronts. Money laundering, terror financing, economy ruining, and all of this. So the changing of the currency is a must, or is very important because of these reasons, but most importantly because that will force people who are holding the humongous amounts of cash notes in the underground or in their stores or wherever, to bring it back to the banking industry, the banking system, sorry. So in that in itself will bring to the banking system a lot of abilities, or a bigger blanket and ability to finance the different industries and the different businesses, whereby now it is not possible, because all of the banks, if not almost all of them, have reached the ceilings where they cannot finance anymore any new businesses, or at least with not considerable amounts and effective type of finance. But I have to caution that the changing of the currency should happen in a way that it should address not only the changing of the notes, but what to print first, or what to print at all, and with, how much, what is the size that should be printed. This is very delicate issue and very scientific and very sensitive. So the Bank of Sudan must calculate and must know, and they know very well, how to balance the cash mass in the hands, and when it goes into the banking system, what should be the effect of that? Because banks, one of the important and dangerous roles of the banks is that it creates money. It creates money. So when you bring that humongous amounts of balances where people were keeping the cash notes at their homes into the banking industry. Then the banks will be able to re-lend those new money. This will create a situation whereby a lot of liquidity is in the market. Then the Bank of Sudan will have to manage this and to reduce the number, even the mass or the size of the printing of the notes, and to compensate it with the digital execution or digital payment systems that will be conducted by the banks, through the individuals or through the corporate. So this is a very important role, and I don't want to get into it. It has complicated formulas, complicated theories, where they can balance the money coming new to the banking system after it has been circulating for tens of years outside. Also, the laws must be amended, and this is the Minister of Justice, Central Bank, Minister of Finance, and all of the ecosystem to adjust to the laws and regulations to recognize the digital signatures and the digital certificates, to allow the what we have been talking about in the digital banking, whereby there will be no requirement for signing on papers. It could be all digitally done, and even the opening of the accounts can be digitally done if the ecosystem works to the appropriately, and with the involvement of the ministries like Ministry of Interior, whereby they hold the ID repository and in their database, and there is certain ways of doing that. I'm trying to avoid getting into the details of this, but there are ways of even Minister of Interior itself is sitting on mines and mines of gold and diamonds of data, which can operate the whole front of business in Sudan. But this has to be addressed in separate specialized sittings or discussions where they can do this. But they are a cornerstone in all of what we are talking about when it comes to the authorization, authentication, and validation of the IDs. The Minister of Finance also should direct all of the ministries and government bodies and to collect all of their dues. Today there is a lot of efforts done to convert حاجة اسمها what is called Form 15 or something like that, whereby the receipt, the official receipt for receiving money for the Minister of Finance. A lot of efforts has been done, but still there is a lot to be done, whereby I don't want to get into deeper into this, but a lot has to be done to avoid taking cash, but not in the way it is done today. But people should be settling it not through cash, through other agents, but from their accounts and from their digital wallet, and not through cash notes given to somebody who can issue this receipt, because still that requires cash to be dealt with. For instance, like ATMs, if all of this, what we are talking about is done, ATMs will be or continue to exist. People will continue to use cash, but it will be to the minimum. And ultimately, there will be someday, I cannot say when ATMs will not be required or will not exist anymore, after that time, because cash is still a hazard. Cash is still when the community is dealing digitally through the mobile payment system, through the cards, and through and online, there will be no need for the ATMs. There will be no need for the branches to go and withdraw cash to use it anywhere. So activating the partnership between government and the private sector, according to the PPP, which is one of the sustainable development requirements, in which way the government now can contract a lot of businesses to the private sector, but in doing that, like bidding, make it digitally done through the portal of the ministry. People bid, upload their portfolios and whatever, and then you sort it also digitally. All of this should go and move with the direction that the government should set to move everything to the digital world and to digital channels of execution. And also the Ministry of Finance and the central bank should rely on the remittances from expatriates. Here comes the importance of what was said by Dr. Allam and said by the Sayyid Al-Amin Al-Am للجهاز المغتربين. Because if you look around today, there is no any reliable, sustainable inflow from foreign currency, not from the Sudanese working abroad, not from exports, which are very little nowadays. And and even if you produce with, as long as we are still under the sanctions, economic sanctions, whatever you produce, you cannot find importers from outside Sudan to import these products through the legitimate channels, which will feed the foreign currency reserves for the central bank through the banking system. People now, what they do ship the goods and to outside Sudan, whether they're sheep or their agricultural products, bersim, ala ghairu, they send it, and then they go outside chasing people to collect their money from there, and then it depends on their honesty and of their real national feelings that they bring back the foreign currency and deposit it in the central bank, which is not a way of growing or building a country or building a nation at all. So that's very minimal. And also in the same way, Sudanese, including myself, if you go to any bank, even in Saudi Arabia here or in the Gulf, anywhere, and you go and tell the bank that I want to transfer money to Sudan, you will like, sorry, you cannot do that. But there are some channels now open there, but they are in a shy way, let me say, because even those banks who are doing it now, they are not doing it publicly and within these countries, because it might draw attention of somebody sitting somewhere and asking those banks why you are doing it and show us how you are doing it, because we said dealing with countries under sanctions is forbidden. But some transfers are doing there and happening, but within capping amounts. Yani they are not something that huge, but نقطة نقطة تملى الزيت, drop by drop you can fill a tank. Or so through those channels people are now doing it, but this is not again the way you build a country or you do reform the economy. So what I'm saying here now is when the sanctions are lifted, then the Ministry of Finance and the Bank of Sudan and all of those institutions should again rely on the transfers of the Sudanese nationals working abroad, because then they can go to any bank anywhere and they go with the main door and ask them, we want to transfer money to Sudan, either for investment or for savings or for building the house or for subsidizing their families, then that what I meant by relying on this, because this is going to be continuous, sustainable, and large in amounts compared to what is happening now, which is nothing as of today. So, and for this particular point, so then the Bank of Sudan and the Minister of Finance should do the following. They should help the SMEs, and with the help of the Capital Market Authority or within the sandbox, as I said, under the eye and the control of the central bank, then let the financial technology companies start a new concept here in Sudan, which is the crowdfunding. I mentioned this in a past discussion, group discussion. Finance the development and the finance the new investment, because still for real and big investors to come to Sudan after lifting the sanctions will take some time, but Sudanese know their country, know the opportunities, know the potential, so they can be quick in responding to those type of appeals. And also the crowdfunding itself is a big issue, but I can just give few hints about it, so we can just get the spirit of that. The crowdfunding is putting a project to be financed or putting
صلاح، بس لو قدرت ساعدتنا في الزمن، شكرا، كلامك ممتاز. بس
أوكي.
لو قدرت تسريع لنا في النقاط الأخيرة دي.
حاضر طيب. Then it is putting a company or a project to be financed in a platform whereby this can be reached digitally from any corner in the world, and with the payment mechanism attached to that, so people will select and choose what they want to buy shares in or what they want to finance, and all of this is connected to validation systems and guarantees for their investment, so they cannot lose any money or nobody will cheat on them. This is just meant for Mr. الأمين العام إنه through the إدارة نقل المعرفة كان زمان في نشاطات تمت، وكثير من a number of these recommendations and has been done through that platform, through that إدارة نقل المعرفة, whereby the real estate development fund, development and sales on the map were done there, and where the ecosystem for it was mentioned there. This is also one of the recommendations for the Ministry of those ministries, Ministry of Finance and Ministry of Housing, البنوك التجارية, and all of these bodies can participate in making use of the savings and the transfers of the Sudanese working abroad in a guaranteed and very secure way, not like what is happening today. And that's a complete system also given before. The same thing can be applied here. The theory of the crowdfunding can be applied for investors. Mostly they will be Sudanese working abroad, and this can also be applied not only in the real estate, but also for any project, and this can be replicated to finance the economy recovery and through the money coming from the Sudanese themselves. So where what we have said can be applied in Sudan's economy, all of this can be applied in the three main success factor for Sudan, and the potential of Sudan is when in the agriculture, in the livestock and the mining, where in the middle here, what connects them all the light industries or the to add value into what Sudan has gotten as the very competitive advantage in the three main areas here. And so the focus, the last word I say, the focus of the digital transformation in the banking industry and the financial industry is to apply all of that into these productive and sustainable resources for Sudan. And gentlemen, with that I come to the end, and I owe you an apology. Sorry to mention this, but by the way, I have just come to this lecture from the emergency for one of the hospitals where my brother-in-law Adili is suffering جلطة في المخ ربنا يشفيه إن شاء الله. I say this and I'll rush go back to him because he's in a very bad situation. I hope he survives it.
يا دكتور ان شاء الله يا دكتور، ربنا شكرا لك يا دكتور يا صلاح، شكرا لك جزيلا يا اخي، ربنا يشفيه ويرفعه يا اخي. شكرا لك يا شكرا لك يا صلاح.
I was not focused.
لا صلاح، ربنا يشفيه ويرفعه يا اخي. شكرا لك يا صلاح، انا خليك تمشي تحصله يا صلاح يا اخي. شكرا لك يا اخي.
بنحلم بفضاء أوسع، بنحلم بزمن أجمل، بلاد ميلاد بلاد ميلاد. بنحلم بفضاء أوسع، بنحلم بزمن أجمل، بلاد ممتد لحد حدود